Hey everybody, Dirili here. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Men of Yoshiwara Kikuya. We are on Kagerou's path, and we are on chapter 5 with him, the candy apple. So sit back, relax, and let me read you a story. And on Sunday, the day that we promised to meet, have a nice day. My mother saw me off at the entrance, which was unusual for her. Since you're so dressed up like that, be careful not to come home too late. Okay, goodbye then. I left my house and walked towards Yoshiwara, down the main street in the marketplace. I was taken aback to see my mother notice that I was dressed better than usual. Today was the day of the fair that we agreed to go to. Kagerou-san. Was I looking forward to this? Was I looking forward to what lies ahead, and to spending time with that boy? My mother would have never imagined that I was going to see a man from Yoshiwara. But for Kagerou-san, such parental concern was such a distant memory. That's why he has such strong feelings for his family, and Kagerou-san took care of him. While thinking this, I arrived at Inari Shrine, the place where we were to meet. As I looked for him, Misao-san, I found Kagerou-san under the red torii gate at the entrance. I'm sorry, were you waiting for me? Like I'm going to waste my time for you. I just got here. I ran towards Kagerou, who was pursing his lips. When I did, I saw something around Kagerou-san's feet. Was it a line from his studies? Numbers and what looked like foreign characters were drawn into the dirt. What is this? It's nothing. Kagerou-san used his feet to quickly erase the characters on the ground. Could it be that you were... Was he waiting for me for a while? Don't be so noisy. I was just remembering a little of what I learned from my teacher yesterday. Oh, okay. You should be more honest about it. When I looked at the color of the boy's cheeks, I chuckled a bit in my heart. Well, let's go. Oh! He held out his white hand and softly grabbed my right hand. Misao-san. The boy's eyes looked at me with concern. Don't you like to hold hands? I was just surprised. I was just a little surprised. Why? Though he looked confused, as I looked at him, his cheeks quickly grew red. We should go now. Yes. Kagerou-san pulled my hand, and I quickly began walking. And so it came to be that I walked hand in hand with Kagerou for the first time. I thought about it too much. Though I thought that, I held his hand again and again after my fingers slipped from his. Which stall shall we go to first? Fairs in Yoshiwara are the pleasure of customers coming from the entertainment district. There are a fairly large number of stalls for shows. That's amazing! The lively sound of music echoed through the shrine grounds, and there were many rare stalls that I had never seen before. I saw gorgeously dressed men here and there. It was totally unlike the outside world. This world seemed like it was taken right out of a picture scroll. Just looking at it all, it's hard to make a decision. Then I suddenly set my eyes on a stall selling bright red candy apples. Hey there, miss. Would you like one? I looked at Kagerou's profile as he stood next to me. Do you like candy apples? It's very fair-like, and they're cute. Yes, they are. Miss, can you give me a red one? All right, just one? Kagerou-san received the candy apple from the female stallkeeper and handed it to me. Here you go, Misao-san. For me? But won't you have one, Kagerou-san? I'm okay. I'm not very good with sweets. Thank you. I tried to eat the bright red candy apple, but he stared at me with his big eyes and made me feel embarrassed. What happened? Please don't look at me so much. I looked away from him and put my mouth on its jewel-like shining surface. While doing so, I could feel Kagerou-san's eyes on my lips. It's very red. Huh? Your cheeks and lips are very red. It looks like you put rouge on them. He quietly extended his white finger and traced along my cheeks. And with the pad of his fingers, he then traced my lower lip, which had just been on the candy apple a moment ago. Kagerou-san. Your small tongue, too. I felt that the words he was saying didn't match the straight-backed boy. I felt a bit of heat in my cheeks and lowered my head slightly. Well, why don't we take a look at some other stalls? I wanted to change the mood that was hanging over us there, so I pointed to a random stall. That's a store that sells cosmetics to the red light district. They have such a stall? Yes, let's take a look. When we looked inside the stall, there was a lot of rouge, colored powders, and hairpins. It was filled with various tools for the purpose of beautifully adorning gentlemen. What is this? It's beautiful. Interested by a shell that had an image of a ballroom flower painted on it, I picked it up. This is Komochi Rouge. Go ahead and open the shell. After he said that, I opened the shell. Its inside was painted with an iridescent color, and it shined dimly. If you place a wet brush to this colored part here, it will make a beautiful crimson color. Its color is so golden, though. I want to buy one for you. Is it okay? You don't wear any makeup at all, so it would be too sad if all you had was the rouge from that candy apple. Kagerou-san looked at my face and grinned at me. I sort of felt like he was making fun of me. But if I wear this rouge, might this cynical boy offer me the slightest compliment and say I'm beautiful upon seeing me? Okay then, if you insist. I received the shell from the shopkeeper and carefully put it in my chest pocket. Tired from walking around, we sat down next to each other on the edge of the hall of worship. We looked around the shrine grounds, which were crowded with people. Yoshiwara fairs are amazing. And I had a great time together with Kagerou-san. You seem to have enjoyed yourself quite a lot. I'm glad. It's been a while since I walked around a fair for this long a time. Kagerou-san also wasn't taking his usual standoffish attitude right now. This is my first time to come here with someone after having invited them, though. I'm glad that it's you. He said it was his first time. Those words spoken from his smiling mouth tickled my heart. If you invited them, Kagerou-san, then I think there are many people who would want to go with you. The only people around me are gentlemen of the night, and there are no women who would want to go with an apprentice like me. But after your debut, there will certainly be many women that would be captivated by you. Oh, I'm sorry, It's fine. As a gentleman of the night, it's something that I have to prepare for someday. What do you hope for in the future, Kagerou-san? Before you said you want to continue studying, though. I don't know. My freedom may be restricted. I want to continue, but I don't want to think about the future now. Kagerou-san pulled the pendant from the other day out of his sleeve and rolled it on his palm. When I looked at him doing this, I remembered Shion-san's offer to buy his freedom. Perhaps for a gentleman of the night, it's best to have your freedom bought and leave Yoshiwara, is it not? This is what I've been wanting to ask him for a long time. I quietly waited for Kagerou-san's answer. That's a little... When I saw him biting his lower lip, did it mean that he didn't think it was a good idea? I had some doubts. Don't you want to be free? Don't you want to be free, Kagerou-san? Of course I want to, and I want to continue studying. But I think that there's someone more suitable for freedom than me. Someone more suitable? Who was he talking about? As long as he can't be free, I can't think about my own freedom. Kagerou-san. He avoided mentioning the name of the person in question. It's pretty obvious who it is, though. But this was the reason why he kept refusing Shion's offer? I'm sorry to have asked you something strange like that. From now on, please think about your question first before asking me. I haven't even made my debut, so it's too early to think about having my freedom bought. If I had time to think about that, then I need to focus more on studying and training. Yes. Anyway, please stop talking to me about such dreamlike things. It's unpleasant for me. If he's become this stubborn, then wouldn't it be impossible to convince him? Or rather, he might have been distressed all by himself for some time after hearing Shion-san's offer. Thinking about that suitable person. I'm sorry, Kagerou-san. Before I knew it, I put my fingers over the fist that he was making on his knee.
Misao-san, I've said too much.
Today was supposed to be a fun day at the fair. Why don't we walk around to change the mood? When we left the shrine, the sun had started to set. I thought that we opened up to each other today, but... As he walked ahead of me, Kagerou-san didn't speak to me since the last conversation. While walking in a gloomy mood, Kagerou-san stopped walking.
Kagerou-san? Oh, Kagerou. I didn't expect you to be with this girl.
Kagerou-san looked at us and smiled meaningfully. Chapter 6. Like Real Brothers.
You're that Misao-san who tried to choose Kagerou before, aren't you?
Yes.
Did you hang out together with Kagerou?
When I took a quick glance at Kagerou-san...
Yes, I asked Misao-san to go to the fair in Inari Shrine together. We're on our way back to Kiguya now.
Kagerou-san looked depressed before, but that same Kagerou-san was speaking meekly.
I see. Misao-san, how did you like going to the fair with Kagerou?
It was enjoyable. I had a very enjoyable time.
I see. That's good, Kagerou.
Oh, Yes. The boy shifted his eyes around and shrugged his shoulders. Kagerou-san looked at Kagerou warmly, and Kagerou was acting more meekly than ever before. You guys look like real brothers.
I've been taking care of Kagerou for a long time.
So, Kagerou-san, you were taking care of him. I didn't know that.
Kagerou-san has been taking care of me since I was sold to Kiguya when I was little. And that's why he's close to me, like a real blood-related brother. Kagerou was a real handful at first, though.
Kagerou-san was? I could see that they care for each other so much, but was it not like this from the beginning?
Stop it. I was just a little boy at that time.
I'm ashamed.
Because you weren't honest with yourself.
But...
He changed when he started to have interest in books I was reading, and I started teaching him.
Yes, I was allowed to study and practice martial arts, things that weren't necessary for a gentleman.
I don't know how to express my appreciation. You can express your gratitude by improving yourself.
When I saw the way they looked at each other, I realized something. Even without being blood-related, their bond was one that could only exist between real brothers. Someone more suitable than me. Kagerou-san must have continued to be distressed all by himself, torn between Kagura, who he yearned for as his real brother, and Shion-san. That's why he refused her offer to buy his freedom. You guys definitely look like real blood-related brothers.
Misao-san.
When I thought about the feelings of Kagerou-san, who was now looking shy, my heart also hurt.
But well...
Suddenly, Kagerou-san looked at me and Kagerou-san and sighed.
You are almost ready for that, aren't you, Kagerou?
I don't want to talk about it. What were they talking about? Kagerou-san was acting weird. Kagerou-san? Then Kagerou-san came in close to Kagerou-san.
I am still just an inexperienced novice. Please allow me to continue to study under you, Kagerou-san.
In response to Kagerou's desperate begging, Kagerou-san looked at him in a calming manner.
I think you are ready, aren't you?
Kagerou-san's glance moved and instantly met mine. What is this? What is this meaningful glance that he's giving me now?
Kagerou-san. Kagerou, don't become so disappointed in front of this beautiful lady.
Yes. Then Kagerou-san looked back at me.
Misao-san, I just received a cancellation from tonight's client. If it's all right with you, could the three of us have a banquet again, like we did the other day?
A banquet? Is that okay for you? But I don't have money today. I put away the money that the young couple gave me in a shelf in my house, so I didn't bring it with me today.
I'm the one who wants to have a banquet tonight, so you don't need to worry about money. Kagerou, you're okay with that, right? Yes, if it's what Kagero-san wants. Now is a good time, too. We should head back to Kikuya.
Before we knew it, we were heading towards Kikuya, through the town with its lights already shining. The banquet began with the dancing of young gentlemen, in time with the sounds of the shamisen.
So, you got some Komachi Rouge. That store also has good colored powders, I hear. I hear that Takeo uses them too.
Takeo-san? The top gentleman of the night, Takeo. Was he the man that I met on the first day? The one wearing that gorgeous kimono?
Though arrogant and prideful, true to the name, he is certainly the top gentleman in Kikuya. Excuse me. This is top-quality sake that was delivered to the shop today.
Kagerou-san didn't join our conversation and only devoted himself to supporting Kagerou-san.
Kagerou, have you forgotten how to entertain a client? You should join our conversation so that she will enjoy herself more.
Yes, then excuse me. Kagerou lowered his head and moved to the place next to me.
But when you guys sit next to each other, it looks like a painting.
Kagerou-san stared at me and Kagerou, sitting next to each other, like he was appreciating art. He gently narrowed his eyes and had a gaze that was like a parent looking at his own child. Really? Maybe Kagerou-san looks like that, but I
thought the same exact thing when I saw you before the town in Yoshiwara. I thought you guys looked like a good match.
Kagerou-san, what are you saying?
Kagerou, this lady's cup is empty, isn't it?
Ah, yes. Kagerou-san poured sake from the bottle into my cup. His face was close to mine. It was close enough to touch shoulders. At this distance, Kagerou-san's words made me nervous.
You chose Kagerou first. Could you tell me the reason why you did that?
The reason? I could feel Kagerou-san looking at me. Was he nervous about my answer? After I talked to him, I became interested in him, I think. It was also because I thought he was close to my age, but after talking to him a little, I became interested in him.
Kagerou does have a sharp tongue.
Kagerou-san, I admit that, but you don't need to say that at a banquet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kagerou-san looked at Kagerou and chuckled.
Well, I need to tell Iroha-san something, so I'm going to leave for a little while. Kagerou, take care of her well until I return.
Yes. And so, Kagerou-san stood up and left us together in the room. In the middle of the banquet, the young gentlemen were still dancing beautifully. But more than the dancing and singing, I'm sorry, Misao-san. Kagerou-san, what was he thinking? He doesn't usually say those kind of things. I don't mind, so... And that was a lie. This boy was already the only thing on my mind.
Well, would you like me to refresh your tray? Or how about trying the sake?
When he tried to pass me another cup of sake, our fingers touched a little. It was just touching, but somehow...
What happened?
Nothing. My heart started to beat faster and faster.
Misao-san?
The boy's not yet fully grown face looked into my face.
This is troubling. If you're acting like that, then I don't know what to do.
Kagerou-san. I just noticed his eyes had a color as deep as the night sky. And now I was staring at Kagerou-san. It felt like I was looking at someone that I had just met for the first time. And that will do it for today's reading. I hope you'll join me for the next one. I'd be so grateful for any likes, comments, subscriptions, or shares with your friends to show some support. Thank you so much for joining me, and I wish you all health, happiness, and safety. Dirili signing out. Bye-bye, everybody.